Hello and welcome back. We're now moving on to technique number 2 out of our series of 6 cutting-edge techniques for creating children's content for children's books without necessarily having to be a dyed-in-the-wool author. Okay, now this technique, again, we're relying heavily on images, as we are really for all of these techniques, because that, to my mind, is what inspires children the most and is ideal for Kindle. Technique number 2 is a spot the difference book. I'm sure the title says it all to you. Spot the difference. That's first thing I would advise you to do is go to Amazon, amazon.co.uk or .com, and select Kindle, and then have a browse to see what is available. And what choices we have and how other people are going about it. So we've got 31 results. It's actually not a huge amount, which means that there is a space in the marketplace for all of us here. And I want to select some of these books and delve into them just for a little bit and see what we can learn from it, and I think it's a good exercise. So let's look at this one. Spot the difference first of all. Obviously spot the dog, obvious. What do we got here? I like to look at the reviews. Not great here. Wonderful younger children. Interesting to look at some of the negative reviews, because you might see something here, and we've spotted something here that is quite pertinent. It should have more differences to spot that don't involve colour. It's a very good point, actually, because a lot of the Kindles are still black and white, and a good deal of them are colour, and not just the Kindle Fires, but other devices are colour. But a good deal of people that are browsing and wanting to read and download ebooks are using black and white devices. So making the black or white or something else is not good, or changing the color of the grass from green to blue, that won't help a black and white reader. Let's see if we can click on and see anything in here. Actually, I did look at this earlier, and I did think actually that particular comment was a little bit unfair, because they don't just rely on changing color. For instance, we've got here a classic one, starfish. Actually that star is different spacing from that star. What have we got here? That mouth is different. There's no mouth there at all. That would show up in black and white, so that's not entirely fair. So, but this is good to give you an idea. What you've got to do is come up with one image, and then you duplicate the image and make some changes. That's the very basics of it. And then you put up 2 images on one page. I would recommend putting up 2 images on one page. Some authors are actually putting up 4 images on one page, i.e. 2 spot the images, before and after, and then another one before and after. That's too much on one Kindle page, because it's all got to be squeezed into one page. It's too small, and no one can then see the differences. Okay, what else have we got here? Balloons, that string, that may not be so obvious in a black and white, but that string is moved over there. What have we got? Yes, the stars, different stars there. I don't think this is too bad, actually. I think this is sort of middle of the range book, and I wouldn't criticize this too much. I think for anyone with a Kindle Fire or even a black and white, then this is probably okay. So let's go on and look at some of the others. Move back. Now here's one which is, it has to be said, probably just relying on royalty-free, and without paying any fee at all, royalty-free images, what people often call clip art, which usually comes free. You get a whole library free of clip art whenever you buy a computer, and it's fairly low grade quality. Okay, so alright, you can do things with it, but the quality is not great, and again the customer's probably going to think, this is just been thrown together. I mean, that's not even No, that is the same size. My feeling is that if you're going to do one of these books, you really ought to rely on a reasonable quality image. Otherwise, the customer's going to think that they've been shortchanged, no matter how little you charge them. But anyway, learning some of the rules from this, what have we got? Spot 12 differences between these pictures. I think any spot the difference, you need, on average, I'd say about 8 to 10. 12 is maybe too many, because they've got a lot going on here. They've been tempted to make 12, but I think 8 to 10 differences, and make sure the pictures are good. They shouldn't be too, again, they need to be illustrations rather than photographs, because it's very hard to make changes in photographs without it just looking as though you've blotted something out. They need to be fairly simple line illustrations as well, because after all, what you're going to be doing is smudging out and replacing, or just completely obliterating some detail. Okay, so that's what we've learned from that. In fact, if we come back, it's also worth looking down here. Yes, down here, this is down below where we see the Amazon's bestseller rank. When you see a bestseller rank, that shows how well the book is actually performing, and anything over 100,000 and higher is not a high performing book, not selling terribly well. It doesn't actually have any positive reviews in the UK. These reviews are from .com. Let's go back and see another one, the other book by this same artist, and it tells a similar story. The sales aren't doing terribly well. Yes, even worse actually, the sales. So it's not selling too many copies. Then we'll look at the third one. And my feeling is that it's the quality of the images that's killing this a little bit. Here we are as a comment, not worth the time. Looks like someone's just slapped together some clip art images. I think I got it for free, so that's fine, but I'd never pay money. The only thing I'd say, obviously a lot of work's been put into this. It's not selling for a great deal of money, but if you're going to go to the effort, you might as well put in that extra bit of effort and make the images worthwhile. Now you can either create the images yourself using images that you acquire. Avoid the clip art, in my opinion. Images that you acquire and you pay a little bit, i.e. from a site like Fotolia, or you actually go straight down the Fiverr route and get a whole image created. As I say, this one is, I'd call a sort of mediocre one. It's a nice enough book, but then I just want to show you a book which I would recommend in terms of a style. This is a Spot the Difference one, and the author is actually the artist as well. If you look at down here, a ranking of 44,000, so it's sort of selling several copies a day, and that's where you want to be at. So it's right the way throughout this course. There's two angles. Yes, you want to become a children's author, so you want to produce something that you're proud of, and two, at the same time, it would be nice to make a little bit of money if the books sell as well. So the two tend to go hand in hand. If something that's you go the extra mile and something's of quality, it tends to gravitate towards the top, and then you will make sales. Let's go in and have a look at that. In fact, I downloaded this book, or a similar one, by Anna Blake, to my Kindle reading app on my PC. So let's bring it up and have a look. Right, the illustrations are good quality and clearly, being the artists themselves. Now here's an example of putting two Spot the Differences, i.e. 4 in total on one page. It may well have been that this started off as a paperback and hardcover book and then got transcribed and transported over to Kindle or digital, in which case there wasn't much maybe the author could do about it. But I would suggest that you only do one Spot the Difference per page, and then maybe you should have one with the difference being below. You can mess around with that, but either way the quality is quite good. In fact, I think the quality is excellent, and you can see the differences here, maybe different leaves. I'm trying to see some of the differences anyway. You can have a play around and see that. But the quality of the illustration is there, and that translates into the number of sales. And in fact, let's have a look here. So we've got one page, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's about 13. So there's about 26. There's about 26 actual spot the differences, but I'd say 20 would be ideal. And on each one, maybe about 10 differences that you've got to find, 8 to 10 on each one. It doesn't have to be that many to start off with, but I think that's a good way to go about it. And if it works and you get one book up and people enjoy it, you might be able to do a different pricing structure strategy. So the book that's up newest, you can actually give it a sort of lower price, and then within the book you can link to some of the other books that you've already got up, as this artist has done, artist and author. Okay, the next section, and I'm going to split this into 2 videos at least, spot the difference A and spot the difference B, if you like, because I'm going to actually try and show you how to create one doing it yourself. And obviously the other option is to outsource the whole thing and just either find an image and give it to artists on Fiverr and ask them to make the differences, to make the changes, and just let them tell you which ones they've made, or actually do it yourself. So in the next video I'm going to actually have a stab at making a spot the difference, some examples anyway.